Hello, today we are solving Jan 2021 Unit 2 IAL Edexcel paper question number 1 part B we are trying to solve. So you're the accountant responsible for preparing the statement of changes in equity for Bangla Aluminium PLC for the year ended 31st December 2020. So this was done on completed to the statement of changes to equity in the part 1A of the question. Part B states that state 3 examples of the capital reserves from the statement of changes in equity. What are the 3 examples you can find from the statement of changes to equity for the 3 examples of capital reserves? What are the 3 capital reserves you can find? So there is revenue reserve, there is a concept of capital reserve. So 3 examples of capital reserves we can give are share premium, revaluation reserves and ordinary share capital. These are called as capital reserves. Revenue reserves are retained earnings, general reserves. Okay. So all those are revenue reserves. So this also is a concept understanding. You should know the concept of capital reserves and revenue reserves. So let's write the 3 examples, okay, of capital reserves here. First one is the ordinary share capital, okay, ordinary share capital. Then you have the premium share capital, and the third one is, okay, the third one is the revaluation reserve. The maximum that could be paid per share as a final dividend for 2020. So part C of the question, it says that the directors of Bangla Aluminium PLC will pay a final dividend of 2020 to the shareholders in Jan 2021. Calculate the maximum that could be paid per share as a final dividend for 2020. What could be the final dividend that can be paid? We have to calculate. So the maximum amount payable, how will you calculate? Okay, for that, okay, we will have to issue from the reserves. Okay, so we had a retained earnings which was at a loss 0.492, okay, plus, okay, we can't issue, we can issue from the general reserves which adds up 5, and then you have foreign, okay, then you have the foreign exchange reserves of 2. Okay, you can use only these revenue reserves to pay the share, okay, to pay the dividend. So the final dividend can be issued, issued from the revenue reserves. So the maximum dividend payable is equal to revenue reserve capital value, okay, the total revenue reserve capital value, how much of total revenue reserve capital value you have, divided by the number of shares. This is payable, maximum dividend payable per share, that is the rate per share issued they are asking. So I will have to divide it with the number of shares you have, the total number of ordinary shares you have in the total number of shares you have in the company. Now the total revenue reserve capital value we have to calculate. So that is here is equal to, what are the total revenue reserves we have? We have, first one is the retained earnings. This is a part of revenue reserve. So retained earnings plus you will add up general reserve. This is also a revenue reserve. So general reserve plus foreign exchange reserves. So, and we have already said that the revaluation reserve, okay, revaluation reserve is a capital reserve. We can't issue that, okay, from that we can't pay the dividends. So that is going to be foreign exchange reserves. This is the total revenue reserves from which I am going to pay my dividends. So that is going to be equal to, now the retained earnings. The retained earnings value was 0.492. So I can't issue my dividends from the capital reserves. I can issue my dividends only from the revenue reserves. So first one, there was a loss of 0.492. Okay, that was from the retained earnings. Then general reserves. General reserve was 5 and foreign exchange reserve was at 2. So 5 plus 2. So that is the total revenue reserve I have, divided by the number of ordinary shares. So the number of ordinary shares you have, what is the total number of ordinary shares you have? That is going to be equal to total number of ordinary shares now you have is 56.7, because it is at the 1 million pounds. So the number of ordinary shares is 56.7 million pounds divided by the rate. Okay, so whenever you are calculating, it is the capital value you have to look at, divided by the number of, okay, the rate of rate per share. So this is the actually, because it is at both are at 1 million, you know that it will be equal to 56.7 million shares are there. So the number of shares is usually calculated as the capital value, the total ordinary share capital value divided by the rate per share. That is going to give you the number of shares. So 56.7 million shares are there. Okay, so now let's add up and get this value. So minus 0.492 plus 5 plus 2 divided by 56.7. So that is going to be equal to 11.47 pence per share. So 11, so you will get the value as 0.11477 something pounds. Okay, it is in pounds. Share. So that is going to be equal to 11.477 share per share. Pence, you will convert it into pence per share. Okay, if you want, or you can just leave it as 0.1147. Okay. Now the next one is prepare the journal entries for the following transactions. Narratives are not required. So on 12th Feb, the transfer from the retained earnings. So we have to write for the journal entries. Okay, journal entries for these. On 12th Feb, this is the one that has happened. On 12th Feb, 3 million pounds was transferred from the retained earnings to be set aside for new smelter equipment, as the existing smelter is now owned out and a suitable heading must be inserted at A. For the 12th one, we had created, okay, we had created this transfer retained earnings to capital replacement reserve. So the two journal entries that happens, you will have to write. So this is, here you will write date. So here under that you will write 12th Feb. Okay, 12th Feb. What happened? The transaction has happened between the retained earnings. So on 12th Feb, the transaction has happened between the retained earnings and capital replacement reserve. So you will, and the transfer was 3 million. So you will debit the retained earnings and transfer it to the capital replacement reserve. So debit retained earnings and credit replacement reserve. So the value is 3 and the credit value is 3 for the replacement reserve. Then next one is, second one is 21st April, the revaluation of the property. So here the revaluation of the property upward by 12% to reflect the market value. So this had happened between, it was a revaluation reserve was created. So 4.8. So what is a double entry for that? So the revaluation reserve. So for this, the date, okay, date, and here also you can give the heading as details. Okay, this is details of transfer. So now we have the date, then we will have the details, and then you will have the debit and credit entry, which account is debited and which account is credited. Okay, so this happened on 21st April, so you will write it as 21st April. Okay, and then what are the two things that is, one is we have the revaluation reserve, which we know was created. Then the other associated double entry is the property. Okay, the other because this is a revaluation of property, so property account will get the double entry. So that means 4.8 is debited. Okay, so the debit entry is written first, property is debited and revaluation reserve is credited. So the value worth, okay, what is the amount? The amount was 4.8. It was already calculated here in the earlier part. Okay, in the revaluation reserves of 4.8 million was created. The value of the upward replacement value alone you will transfer. So 4.8, it has increased in the property value and you're transferring it to the revaluation, and it is the reflection entry will be reflected in the revaluation reserves as 4.8. Then 11th May, the purchase of smelting equipment. Then this one is 11th May, the purchase of the smelting equipment. On 11th May, the purchase of smelting equipment. So here the information is also given. There was a purchase of smelting equipment. So what are the reserves? What is the double entry or the journal entry for this? So let's look at that. So one is the equipment, smelting equipment. The other should be bank. Okay, how was it purchased? Now 11th May. Okay, 11th May. So the equipment will be debited. It is increase in the equipment value. So the equipment value will increase and bank will get credited. So the value of the equipment bought was 2.9. So though the reserve was created 3 million, because if they had not given this information, you would assume it was 3 million. But because here they have given it as 2.9 million, you take it as 2.9 million. So increase in the value of smelter equipment of 2.9, and this you would have bought using the payment check. Okay, check it will reflect. You can either reflect in the bank, or you can also reflect if you have bought on a credit basis. You can name the supplier, that is AAM equipment. If you have bought using the check, you would have stated as bank, but or if you have bought it on credit, Then it will reflect EAM Equipment, who is a supplier. Okay, who is a supplier. So because even if you assume it was bought by check and write, okay, you will just write 2.9 credit. Okay. Then next one is on 31st December, the entry for the loss for the year. Okay, there was a loss. Okay, what is the double entry that has happened? We have to write for that journal entry. So date, details, and then there is a debit entry, and there will be credit entry generally for the journal entries. So write that, and after that, so the loss will be transferred from this retained earnings, okay, to the statement of profit and loss under the comprehensive income. So the loss was around point. Okay, what was the loss on 31st December? The loss on 31st December was 3.91 million pounds loss. So 31st December, 31st December. So the amount, okay, so the two entries will be retained earnings, and then you have the statement of comprehensive income. Loss, okay, profit and loss account. So income, we will just write this one. Okay, statement of comprehensive income. And what is the loss? So the loss is indicated as debit in the retained earnings. So 3.91. If it was a profit, you will put it on the credit side. So debit retained earnings and credit statement of profit and loss as 3.91 million pounds. So this is the journal entries for the transaction given. Next, on 1st Feb, okay, the next part E of the question asks us to calculate the gearing ratio at 31st December 2020, showing the formula used. Now first one is on 1st September 2020, a 60 million 10-year debenture was taken out to expand the business. On 31st December 2020, the balance outstanding a 5-year bank loan was 23.614 million pounds. Calculate the gearing ratio for at 31st December, showing the formula used. Now what is a gearing ratio formula? Okay, so let's write that. Gearing ratio formula is equal to debt, okay, that is equal to usually debt divided by the capital employed. So that is equal to debt divided by debt plus equity. So this is the formula for the capital for the gearing ratio. Now what is the debt that was debt that has business has? Debt is equal to, it is given 23.4 million pounds, okay, bank loan. There is a 5-year bank loan and there is a debenture. So first there was a debenture loan plus bank loan, okay, these are the total debt they had given. So that is equal to 60 million pounds plus 23.614 million. So that is going to be equal to 23.614 plus 60. So that is equal to 83.614. Okay, 83.614 million pounds. Okay, that was a debt. Now what is the equity value? We will calculate. The total equity, okay, the total equity is equal to, we had already calculated in the statement of changes to equity, so that was equal to, at the end of December it was 76.386 million pounds. So that was calculated from the statement of changes to equity. So what was the total equity with for the business? 76.386. Okay, so let's write the total equity value, 76.386 million pounds. Now we have to calculate the gearing ratio. So you calculate and then you have to multiply this entire term by with 100 to indicate the percentage. Okay, this you will calculate debt divided by debt to plus equity times 100 you have to do to get the percentage of the gearing ratio. So let's calculate. The debt was 83.614 million pounds divided by debt plus equity. So debt plus equity value of 76.386 million pounds. So this total you will calculate. Okay, times 100%. So that is going to be equal to this value. At the top you will write the same debt and the debt plus equity. So let's calculate that. 83.614 plus 76.386. So that is going to be 160 million. 160 million pounds. Okay. Times 100. So that is equal to 83.614 divided by 160. You can directly write into 100. So that is equal to 52.26%. So 52.26%. This is the gearing ratio value as on the 31st December.